Hello, everybody. Thank you all for coming to Thursday's council meeting. First off, I want to introduce Pastor Jesse from the Summit Baptist Church and lead us in our invocation. I think he's going to talk for a minute or two first, and he'll tell us when to stand.
Well, I'm a pastor, so when I say, talk for a minute or two, that's kind of dangerous. I'm kidding. My name is Jesse Welliver. I have been the lead pastor at Summit Church in Loganville for about 1.5 years. And just a little short story, just by way of introduction. My dad moved out to Loganville over 20 years ago, and we visited as kids Summit Church of Loganville, and then we moved away, and little did we know that over 20 years later we would return and I would be a pastor at this same church. I guess you can say what goes around comes around, right? So as we begin our council meeting, let's pray together.
Let's do it.
Father in heaven, hallowed be your name, and we ask humbly but confidently that your kingdom would come and your will would be done on earth and here in Loganville as it is in heaven. We first give you thanks, first for the grace of life, that of friends and family and a place to call home. And we thank you for the city of Loganville and all that make up what a wonderful place it is. And we thank you for Jesus, your son who you sent to die on the cross for our sins that we might have eternal life if we would trust him. Lord, we know that we often fall short of your standards and we often fall short of what we should be. But Lord, we are ever grateful for your grace that you apply very, very graciously to us. Lord, we are so thankful for this community and all of the people that make it work. I thank you for each council member, and I pray that you would bless their lives, their families, that they would know your grace personally and experience your love in a very profound and personal way. And as we pray, I'm reminded of your word in 1 Timothy that says, "First of all, then, I urge that supplications and prayers and intercessions and thanksgivings be made for all people, for kings and all who are in high positions, that we may lead a peaceful and quiet life, godly and dignified in every way. This is good and it is pleasing in the sight of God our Savior, who desires all people to be saved and to come to the knowledge of the truth." So, Lord, we pray tonight for each council member, Lord, that you would grant them the grace of your presence and wisdom. And we also pray for those that serve our community so well, police, fire, and emergency services. Lord, we pray for safety and protection as they seek to protect and to serve this community. And Lord, for each elected official that we have, God, I pray that you would grant them a double measure of your wisdom, wisdom that can only come from you. As your word says that if we ask for wisdom, you will grant it generously. That is one thing you promise. So I pray that, like Solomon, we would not ask for riches, we would not ask for wealth or for status or position, but that we would long for one thing, and that is wisdom to lead well. We pray for integrity and for righteous leadership. As the Proverbs say, that people rejoice when the righteous lead, and they lead well. So we pray that you would grant them the ability and discernment to do that. And just by nature of their position, I pray that you'd grant them great patience. Through all the things that they wade through to serve our community well, pray that you would uphold them and help them to endure and serve well. We ask all these things in Christ Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Jesse. All right, you just follow me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, before I ask for the adoption of the agenda, Danny wanted me to ask council real quick about our group photo, if y'all would want to do it on the 12th of next month. So it'll be the Thursday council session, so we can all be here and dress, we usually, dress nicer on Thursday, so we could be here for a picture, group picture.
What time?
What time would you want us to be here? You think maybe 6? If we need to, I guess if people come late,
6:15,
it could be a little bit later, but we'll aim for 6. All right, thank y'all. Now I'm going to call for the adoption of the agenda. Are there any additions or subtractions?
I'd like to make an addition to possibly.
Okay.
So I'd like to add discussion of the State Route utility relocation. State Route 20 utility relocation to utilities and transportation.
All right, I believe Melanie, you're about to say another
Yeah, I
one?
have one as well. I would like to add under Wes's committee, a discussion about our parking lot out here.
Okay. Any more? Is that it? We good? All right. Can I get a motion to adopt the agenda as amended?
So moved.
So we got a first by Keith, and a second? Second. A second by Patty. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank y'all so much. So we have the consent agenda in front of us. That's everything that we approved Monday night. Can I get a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
So moved.
All right, got a motion. I got a second?
Second.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, and for our roll call, sorry, I passed over that. We are all here tonight. Danny's here. He just left, went somewhere. All right. So up first is Planning and Development Committee. Lisa Newberry.
Thank you, Mayor. So tonight, we just have a couple of things, and I'd like to open up for discussion on a couple of other things. So we talked about this back in, I think it was the December council meeting, that we have a couple of vacancies coming up on the Planning and Zoning Commission. That one of them is Keith, because he was newly elected here. And then we have 3 others that are coming, their term is up. So we'd like to put out the applications beginning on January 15th through February 27th. And then after the application process closes, the copies of those applications will go to us. And the goal is to have the new commissioners sworn in the April council meeting. So just an update on that. Any questions?
What were the dates again?
January 15th through February 27th.
Oh, through February 27th, okay.
Yeah.
And it's to fill 4 seats or 3 seats?
4 seats.
Okay.
It's Keith, and then Tiffany, Joshua, and Michael.
Wait a minute, run that by me again.
Keith,
Tiffany?
Joshua, and Michael.
All right, and was it 2 of those that just, their term was up, correct?
3.
3 of them term was
Yeah.
up, okay.
Sorry, Lisa, but I misspoke earlier. It's Toyin Seed is the one that is up, not Michael's.
Okay, it's 20. Okay,
Okay.
yeah. Thank you, Robbie. Okay, the next step is Town Planning and Urban Design Collaborative. They want to do their rewrite. Part of the rewrite ordinance is for us to hold a meeting with the public. So the first kickoff meeting is going to be February the 3rd at 6:30, and it's at the Rock Gym.
All right, are we
And-
going to announce that on our website?
Yes, I'm sure the city's going to socialize it and put it out there. But yeah, and it's definitely open for the public. It is for us and for the public, so we definitely want the public to be there. Any questions?
Do you know what day of the week that is?
I don't know what February 3rd is. Anybody?
Tuesday.
Yep.
This is
Okay.
a very citizen-centric policy that we're trying to write here for the city limits of Loganville, so that the more citizens we have to be involved, the better it will be. So I please implore any citizen in the city of Loganville to come to this if you have the time.
Absolutely. Okay, so next up is item number 3A. And, you know, I've always said that as times change, we need to change with the times. So I'd like to open up discussion with council on 3 different matters. The first is code enforcement. And I want to start out by saying that we have a code enforcement gentleman, Brandon. Is Brandon here by chance? I know he's not, okay. I just want to say that the council, and am I speaking for everybody, that we think he does a fantastic job. If we could clone him, we would. And in fact, we think he's doing such a good job, we'd just like to add another Brandon. So I'd like to talk to everybody tonight. I've talked to Danny, I've talked to Chief Lowry, got their opinions. But I just want to share with you all that it is clearly my opinion that we're at the point where I think we need to add another code enforcement officer. So I'd like to ask council to consider this tonight. And in all fairness to Danny, if that's what council wants to do, then it's January. He's going to be preparing the budget. So we need to give him that information now so he can work that into the budget, which we approve and starts in July. So with that being said, I'd like to open that up for discussion and see what y'all think.
Well, being public safety, I tried last year to do this and was told that if we did certain things last year that we would do this year. And since I didn't know what committee I'd be getting, and I waited till Monday, so I appreciate you taking the initiative and going out with that. I'm wholeheartedly for that. I think Brandon does a fantastic job, but he's just one man. And we're a 6 square mile city, and we're starting to see the effects of only having one person. There's a lot of trash places, there's things, and one of the things I would like to do, I'd like to put some caveats with that. We're gonna hire a second code enforcement officer. I would like to make sure that we're gonna get staggered hours so that we don't have 2 code enforcement officers working 8 to 5. I wanna see some late hours because a lot of your violations happen after business hours. And so when you call and you make a report, of course, when he goes out the next day to follow up on your report, they've already gone, they've left, that's not happening. And I would like to see them rotate out working weekends. So I think if we can put some caveats.
Yeah, and I'm all about that, but I think that if that's the case, I think we need to loop in Chief Lowry.
Yeah,
It's his department and his say.
I'm just saying what I, in an ideal world, what I would like to see.
Chief Lauer, would you like to come up to the podium real quick to help us with this discussion?
So, we've done some things that we're putting in place. Brandon is going to, we're going to alternate his schedule, get some weekend hours as best we can, and that'll be starting pretty much immediately. Chief, is the microphone on?
I don't think so.
How about now? All right, how about now? Is that better? All right, so what I was saying is Brandon is going to be, we're going to alternate his schedule. You know, it's hard as a chief department head to ever say, you know, we always need more help pretty much in anything. And I've spent pretty much all day today going back and looking at numbers and statistics and that kind of thing. It's difficult with just one person, and that being Brandon, and I wholeheartedly agree does a tremendous job for us. But he is just one person. And in order to provide you know, weekend and night coverage and day coverage, I agree with you, that's pretty much impossible with one person. It's just, there's no way to do that and have a fair and equitable working schedule. Having said that, I want to really emphasize, I guess you'd say, I don't know, and I can't prove with any numbers, that adding another code enforcement officer is going to make any significant change to some of the things we see. And I say that based on this. People have been dumping illegally in Loganville and in Walton County long before I was involved in law enforcement. They're going to continue to do it. Making extra laws or adding things does not always, there's no way to measure, and this is something that we deal with in law enforcement. I can tell you how many arrests we made for any crime you want to know about. What I can't tell you is how many did we prevent. I can't tell you how many burglaries we prevented by checking buildings all night. Okay, there's no way for me to measure that. So I can't stand here and tell you, if we add this code enforcement officer, this is what's going to happen. I don't want to do that and then that not happen. Y'all know I'm pretty much a straight shooter. I think all y'all know that. I'm going to promise you something that I can't deliver. I can tell you for last year, looking at Brandon's activity, and we do, there is some overlap in reporting systems because we have him enter things both in our internal police reporting system and also in a city system that's part of Tyler. Part of the reason for that is there are other people, like, say Robbie, for example, that might need to look at this, but doesn't necessarily have access to the police reporting software. So there's quite a bit of overlap there. So Brandon initiated last year in 2025, 530 incident reports in the police department system. He issued a total last year of 616 notices of violation. And in the code enforcement world, that's generally speaking, except for certain life, safety, and health issues, you start with a notice of violation and they get a certain period of time, depending on what it is, to bring that property or that issue into compliance, okay? He issued 616 of those. Now, that number is a little bit skewed because when you break that down, 238 of those notices of violation was for failure to pay occupational tax, business license. So he issued 378 that are actual code violations, okay? Now, once that time runs, at that point, if they don't come into compliance, or if it's an issue that merits a citation immediately, he issued 60 citations that went through the court system, resulting in fines collected of $11,200, okay? Because so many of these things require, and the goal of code enforcement, and it's quite a bit different from law enforcement, the goal of code enforcement for any city, any county, any state, the goal of code enforcement is to get these people to bring their properties into compliance, right? That requires sometimes giving them time to do that. There are exceptions to that, certainly. There are exceptions to that. So I can't tell you that adding a code enforcement officer is going to significantly change anything. I mean, I would hope that it would, but I can't promise that. I think you can see from those numbers that Brandon is busy. He's out there working. He's issuing the notices of violations. He's following them up with citations when that's appropriate. And some of these properties may require 2 to 3 visits to that property. It's not necessarily a one-time thing. It may be one incident in our system, but it may require multiple visits, phone calls, emails, all kinds of things. So even though he is certainly gainfully employed and busy, I can't honestly stand here and tell you that he's overwhelmed, okay? I can tell you, quite honestly, if you're asking me what I really need, I need officers more than I need a code enforcement. I'm just going to be straight honest with you. The last time we added a patrol officer, and we added a detective, we added a DA guy. The last time we added a single patrol officer to Loganville Police Department was 2015. That's a long time.
That is
And where that puts us, and I didn't come up here to stand and say, oh, woe is me. We do the best we can with what we have, and I have a tremendous staff of officers that puts in extra work and does everything that we as a community need them to do to keep us safe. So I'm not throwing shade on them in any kind of way. But we have 20 assigned patrol officers. Well, you have to keep in mind that those guys have to have they have to go to training. Well, training does not always coincide with a rotating 12-hour shift, okay? They have to have time off and vacation. They get sick. And just like firefighters and EMS personnel, we're going into people's homes when they're sick, and we're not immune to that. So our sick rates are actually probably, and I don't know if Ainsley would have any way to know it, they're probably higher than some other departments, truthfully. They get injured. Right now, as I stand here tonight, I've got one that's out pregnant. That's not necessarily an injury, I know, but she's out. It's going to result in an injury before it's over with, I'm sure. But anyway, but I've got 3 guys out right now. I've got one with a knee, one with a shoulder, and one with a back. I've got 2 in the police academy who don't graduate until April. Even after they graduate, they got to go through a minimum 90-day field training. So that puts us in nearly August before they do me any good. I've got another one who just graduated the police academy and is doing a tremendous job in his field training, but he's still 2 months away before we can release him. That many people down, y'all, out of 20 is significant. We've kind of held 2 positions that are allocated somewhere else to other assignments, but I can't put them there. I can't. I don't have anybody, right? So they're having to fill in on these patrols. So if it's the council's wish that we gain another code enforcement, I probably will. He'll work, or he won't work for us. We don't tolerate that. He'll be out there working, and I'm sure he'll produce and meet some of the goals that you would like to see. No doubt in my mind about that. But if you're asking what I really need, that's what I really need.
Chief, how many deputies do you have on your 12-hour shifts?
On 12 hours?
Yes,
At
on
full
your-
staff?
yes.
I've got 5.
You have 5 deputies on?
Right
Okay.
now, we're working shifts with 4 and 3.
Okay, sure.
Now, I know we approved last year, so Howard, you're saying 2015 is the last time you hired a new hire, or?
No.
I didn't
We
understand
hired
what you
people.
said. You said
No,
something about
listen,
2015.
Our authorized strength for patrol has not changed since 2015.
Okay.
We had the detective, we had the evidence technician, we moved some things around. When I took over as chief, we actually combined 2 positions, which was the assistant chief and the major. So Greg's, since 2022, is wearing 2 hats as assistant chief. He still commands the patrol division. To help us get some, move some things around, we reallocated some people inside. But we haven't added a patrol officer. Now, we've had people leave, we've hired patrol officers, but our overall strength has not changed.
Right. I mean, we've never denied you
No, I
hiring
agree, and I
officers, and we
haven't
won't
come,
deny you
and I'm
again.
gonna tell you the reason. It doesn't make sense to me, and a lot of chiefs and sheriffs do this. And Greg and I, and we talk with Dan about it every single year in budget time. On paper, right now, I hate to even say this out loud. On paper, I'm full, okay? But I told you where I've got people here, there, and the other place. We have never been full until now since I've been chief. So we have been down some most days, 6, probably 5 maybe. That's significant for an agency our size. If you look at the sheriff's office, and that, of course, y'all know that's where I come from, being down 5 is spread out. It's not as big a deal as it is to us. That's a whole shift for me. But it doesn't make sense to me, Ms. Long, going back to your point, and I agree with you. I've never asked, I've never been denied. But it does make sense to me to come to Danny and come to you guys with 3, 4 openings and ask for 3 or 4 additional positions. If I can't hire those, I'm not going to be able to hire these, right? And what happens is people ask an experienced officer, how many openings do you have? Well, they're judging whether or not they want to come to work here by how many openings you have, because there's a reason that you have openings, right? So we haven't done that. We've shifted some things around with the numbers that we have, right? But even going further back than that, okay? When I came here from the sheriff's office in June of 2006, at that point in time, we were allocated 4 per shift, which is 16. So we're only 4 different from that. And because of the quality of people we have, we've, been able to succeed and do a whole lot of things with those people. But to give you an idea, things are changing. I gave you those numbers, like, for example, in 2023, we answered 16,469 calls for service. In 2024, it was 23,487, and last year's 37,478. Those numbers will not go down. They're not going to go down. Our arrests stay within about 20 every month. They're just under 300 a year. Citations range between 2,000 to 2,300 a year. Incident reports, last year we did almost 2,700 incident reports. And accident reports, last year in Loganville, we worked 1,451 accidents. Now, you've got to think about with these accidents, that's not a one-man deal. Everybody knows that. It's a minimum of 2, right? And it can be everybody plus county guys or whoever. It can be us leaving the office or whatever it may be, depending on how it is. So those numbers are going to continue to go up. And I don't mean this to say, y'all don't misunderstand. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's all horrible, terrible, violent people that we're dealing with. But as the population of any community grows, the demands for service, even if that service is, hey, somebody stole my trash can, right? Somebody knocked my mailbox over. It may be as simple as that. I've still got to send the officer out there, and that officer still got to talk to them, Does all crime rise proportionally with your population? And y'all, unfortunately, that's true. That's not my rule. That's just the way the world works, right? But it's, certainly this is a council decision. It's something Danny and I have been talking about ever since I took over code enforcement. He's had me monitoring this and looking at it and that kind of thing. And we discuss it. It's not anything new. It's something that we look at. Personnel needs and decisions in my mind are often driven by statistics. I mean, that's the best measurement that you have. We will certainly, if that's the way the council wants to go, we'll certainly put them to work.
Chief, I have one more question.
Sure.
Have you put in for additional officers this year?
No, we haven't submitted any.
Okay. Are we going to submit more officers?
I'm going to ask for them.
Okay. How many are,
Good.
just for the record, how many are we actually looking to hire?
My desire, where I hope to start,
Yes, sir.
and certainly, I've been doing this a long time, understand how the budget process works too, I would like to add 1 per shift, which would be 4.
Okay. Thank you.
And do you
Is the
think,
situ-
as a preventative measure, I'm sorry, Patty,
It's okay.
having officers on the street actually more patrolling actually keeps down on the dumping as well? Because you'd actually have
I
people
would hope
working
so.
24/7.
Sure. I mean, I would hope so.
So it kind of goes twofold
hope
there
so.
with that. So it would
And
also
I
help.
think, look, you can look back, and I'm being totally honest here. When I first came here, okay, our guys wrote way more, significantly more traffic citations than they do now. Part of that is driven by the other demands for their time and service. Part of it is driven by y'all, and I'll just tell you, when I never worked patrol here, obviously, but when I worked patrol in the county and you go out on the east side of Highway 78, it's like shooting sitting ducks. Everybody is flying. It's easy. You cut through means it's hard for us to even get turned around now. Y'all drive through it just like we do. It makes me cringe when I hear these guys have to turn a siren on, you know, because they're trying to drive through all of us. But I am a firm believer that active patrol, giving these guys time to make stops, so when the crooks do come through here and they see blue lights all the time, it makes them, maybe they go around us, you know, and it'd be somebody else's problem. I hate to say that, but I'm the chief in Loganville, not the whole world.
Is this a case of it's either or?
No, I'm not saying that. No, absolutely not. I mean, I think we can, you know, look, if I had an extra administrative person, I got stuff for them to do. If I had an extra detective, I've got things for them to do. My point, I hope I didn't misconstrue it, was if I'm at what do you need right now the most, that's it. I'm not saying that I can't use them, and we certainly will, you know. And honestly, it's significantly less of an impact to the police department budget and Danny's overall budget to hire a code enforcement officer than it is to hire a police officer. Significantly different. I wouldn't be scared to say it's probably half the cost, you know, because you don't have all the equipment and things that go along with it for code enforcement. Even though we do, our code enforcement, we do issue, and we require him, I don't say we issue, we require him to wear a vest when he goes out, because he probably makes people angry as often as we do, honestly. So,
Does he
but
think,
no, it's
Chief,
definitely not either.
does he think he needs help?
I talked to him about that a little bit today, and his response is, if we add somebody, right, there's certainly things for them to do, okay? Does he feel like he's going to drown if he doesn't get anybody? No. Now, I will say this. Greg and I were talking about it before we left off to come over here. Do I think that we will need a second and maybe even a third at some point, code enforcement? Absolutely. There has been, and you guys know better than anybody, significant development that's been approved that's not yet done, right? That's in progress or is partially done, all that. Will that increase the demands on code enforcement, not only during the construction and development time, but afterward? Yeah, just like it will for us and fire and everybody else, right? On city services. So is there some merit in trying to do that ahead of that being completed and have that person get trained? There's a lot of schools that they have to go to, which I didn't even know that till I took over code enforcement. Different levels of certification that he has. Keith well knows. I don't even know how many. It's a bunch of different
It's
levels.
three levels. The first two are 3 conferences apiece, which is 15 hours each conference.
Right.
And when you move into level 3, it's another 75 hours.
That's
It's almost
what
like getting a
Brandon's at.
degree.
Yes.
And it's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of testing. It's a lot of work.
And Brandon's currently in the process of the
Yes, sir.
third certification. So, yeah, I mean, if you're asking me, is there some benefit probably to doing that ahead of when the real demand would be there? I would say yes.
Could I just make a quick?
Yeah, I was going to ask. I'd like to hear from you, being that this is what you do.
It is what I do, and believe me, you do make people mad. I would like to just start off by saying, be careful switching his hours to nighttime or something like that, because we do not carry weapons. We are not sworn individuals. Now, he does carry a vest, but that's not a lot. I have been in a position where I've carried Aspen OC.
Right.
And I had the asp 1 week, and I had to pull it. So you just don't know. When you're out there, you're trying to be as nice as you can to the citizens, but you don't know what kind of day they've had. So if you're putting him into positions that are going to put him at harm, I think that we need to look at really, really closely. But having him under the police, to me, that was a very good move. I loved it when I was at my previous position, being under the police department, got a lot of backup. But, you know, there's a lot to think about when it comes to code enforcement.
And you know, when he came on, and it wasn't that, not that it wasn't this way anyway, but, you know, when he works under our umbrella, he's there with these guys, he interacts with them all day. He's one of us. So if he calls on his radio and says, I need help, he's probably gonna have more help than what he needs, and if you try to hurt him, it's probably not gonna end up like you thought it was. We also do, if we know, look, this is gonna be a problem, 100%, this is gonna be a significant issue, then somebody's going with him. And there's time to just, you know, Greg goes with him sometimes. I've been out with him. We've both been together to go with him because we know it's going to be that way. And ultimately, if he falls under the police department, it's the police department's responsibility, you know, and that's the way we see it. We don't see it as a stepchild type, you know, redheaded stepchild type relationship. It's our responsibility.
So you started off with, you know, saying, you know, it's hard to stop the illegal dumping.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's not the goal is to just add a person to our staff. The goal is we want to try to look for those properties that are not being kept up and try to change that. And so the hard part for me, so first of all, would be staff coming to us and asking for it, but you're not. But the second thing is, okay, so then we're taking that look from the outside. What do we need, and what are those things? So is there a break? First of all, is there a what are the types of things that he's giving citations for?
That's a very good question. So most of them that end up going to court are related to illegal dumping. Illegal dumping, or I think there's a couple for things like illicit discharge, you know, stormwater type thing. But the vast majority of them that end up before the judge are illegal dumping. Now, whether that's, you know, an individual, it may be something that's related to a developer's property. I'd have to go back and, you know, I don't have that, but that's what most of them are. In Georgia, and we have had, it's not often, he can't do it, one of us would have to do it. But to give you an example, because this is certainly related to code enforcement, we had somebody a couple of years ago who illegally tied into the city of Loganville sewer system. Y'all may remember this, and was operating a septic company and dumping into our system without coming through here, getting tickets or any of that. We set up surveillance. We caught them doing it red-handed. Now, under a city ordinance, we can't seize all that stuff. But under state law for illegal dumping, we took his truck, his trailer, his tractor, some money, and we took all that, we sold it, and we kept the money. The city got to keep, but it's like we do for drug dealers, basically the same process. The fine, the maximum fine that anybody can get in a municipal court for misdemeanor, everything goes to municipal court's misdemeanor, 12 months or $1,000. Okay, with illegal dumping under the state code, for commercial use, it can be tens of thousands of dollars, mandatory, mandated by state law. So at that point, it makes better sense for for code for something like that, for us to take a warrant for somebody. It can be, there's a lot of different, but certainly, you know, if it rises to the event of felony illegal dumping, that's a full-on police investigation. That's not a code enforcement issue. Most of them go to court or illegal dumping. What we run into sometimes, and y'all well know this, is there can be properties that are, you know, the road gets cut and then nothing happens for a while, it changes hands, we don't know, and he has to track down who's actually owns that now. Or perhaps in a subdivision and there were lots that weren't developed, you know, or didn't sell, whatever it was, and he has to track those down. So it's not always as simple, I think, as it would appear, like, well, they dumped it there, just give them a ticket. Like, for example, and I know Danny went out himself and helped do some things, and we had discussion about this with over at Logan's Point area. That property owner's not right there to check on that every day. And he's not the one dumping on it, but he's the only person we got. And ultimately, at the end of the day, technically, is he responsible for his property? Yes. Is that the fairest way for the city of Loganville to be treating him? Maybe. Might not be. So there's some leeway in here with this that we have to work at. Danny asked this question about putting up cameras. Well, you can certainly put cameras up, and there are some that would probably not, I mean, even a deer camera, okay? They're not terribly expensive. If we had a show of hands back there with the firefighters, we'd probably come up with 20 or 30 of them right quick if we needed them, right? But they're not that expensive. Here's the problem with that, though. I don't have I can't put them on private property without their permission. That's their property. Now, they might agree to it if it's been an ongoing problem. But here's the other thing about it. That's going to capture maybe their tag number. That don't tell us who's behind the wheel of that car. And that's not, it's a place to start. It's a place to start. But that's not enough to charge somebody. For example, say I had borrowed, you know, Bill's pickup truck to go to Home Depot. I need some lumber. And I run into somebody in the parking lot, right? And I bring the truck back and I tell Bill, I don't stop, but I bring the truck back and I tell Bill, man, when I was backing up at the house, I hit the gate. I'm going to get your truck fixed. I'm really sorry. Well, we're friends. He don't think nothing about it, right? But somebody got his tag number, the tag number of the truck I'm driving. And now the sheriff's office shows up and says, hey, you're under arrest for hit and run. Doesn't work that way. He may own the vehicle, but he wasn't driving. I can't prove he was driving. Same thing if we catch a tag number of somebody illegally dumping and we go to their house and we ask, you know, and we don't have any video of them. And they said, well, no, my buddy borrowed my truck. Okay, who's your buddy? Well, look, I'm not going to tell you that. I have no legal avenue to force them to do that. It just doesn't exist. It's not. Now, early on in my career, a long time ago, I was told by a former sheriff who's now passed away, put him in jail and he'll tell you what you want to know. Those days are long, long gone, right? That's just not how it works. Could it help? It might, you know. But again, I don't want to tell you, spend $40,000 or $50,000 buying cameras and it doesn't catch anybody, then, you know, I don't know what it helps.
But if we had cameras that had, like you and I talked about, the proper resolution where it does catch the person and the property owner allowed us.
If you can positively ID them, like from that camera, then yes, you can prosecute. Yes. But
So that's
if
kind of an
you
answer?
see a person, you would have to be able to positively identify that person. And now, you know, listen, so everybody's tag number, and you may not even know it or not, when we run the tag numbers now, the driver's license of whoever the registered owner is attached. We get a driver's license photo. So is that possible? I'm not saying it's not possible to do it, But just the camera catching somebody driving in, they're the only one, that's not enough to actually make a charge. It's enough to go talk to them, you know? Maybe they admit to it. If they admit to it, we can charge them.
Well, I mean, very good points, and I agree with Chief that we're always going to need more police officers, but I think two different points, and that's something to consider, but also to consider the code enforcement also. And it's to me, it's more about trying to combat crime, get ahead of crime, get ahead of what's moving out here, because, you know, when you look around, you see trash, you see code enforcement violations. These things are starting to happen more often. We need to get ahead of it. So to me, that's what I think code enforcement is, like what you were saying, Bill. Get out there and get more of these violations and citations.
And this discussion also brought forth for me some things now that I'm going to be talking to TPUDC for. For instance, I think in new developments, we ought to make we'll have to require that they have a camera system up in these things so that they're not sitting there empty, and that could be something that
Yeah,
we
you
could
see them
require.
all over.
Yeah, in
these
Gwinnett
days,
County
yeah.
and things. So it gives a lot more questions, but I still believe, and like you said, to get ahead of it, and I'll ask you again, Keith, because you didn't really go where I thought you would go. You work for a place. Do you feel there's a true advantage to having somebody now that is growing with our city, that gets familiar, that gets his training and everything? Because every year we wait, we're getting that much, in my opinion, further behind on things. What do you think?
From my background, I say, yeah, let's go ahead and get it going. But hearing him, the chief, speak, it needs to probably be tied in with adding to his force as well.
Exactly. Oh, yeah.
But yeah, and I could go through a whole lot of stuff that I've been through, and we can talk about that one-on-one if you want to later. But yeah, it's something that the city does need to look at. If it happens this year, great. If not, you know, it needs to as soon as possible.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Can we do both, Danny?
I mean, it really just depends on what the numbers show when we start doing the budget. I mean, 4 officers is over $500,000 just for 4 officers. And I can tell you the court revenue is going down every single year.
Speaking of court, can I ask a question
Well,
real
is that
quick to
because
the
we don't?
chief?
Go ahead.
On the code enforcement stuff, I think you kind of alluded to it, and I think I caught up on it. Are the citations that Brandon issues, are they criminal misdemeanor?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, it's a city ordinance violation.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, because there are some jurisdictions that don't go the
Yeah,
criminal misdemeanor.
the way that ours is set up, it's a city ordinance
Okay.
violation, just like if you got disorderly conduct.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Well, my question was, are the court revenues going down because we're not issuing the citations he just was talking about? Like,
I
we're not
think-
patrolling and the traffic and things like that?
I think to answer the question, because I've asked, is because they're answering calls,
Right.
which led to, do we hire units for traffic units? We've talked about that for the past several years, but this gets down to money. It gets down to y'all saying, no tax increase. It's that simple. We can do whatever you tell us to, but it's gonna cost money. I don't tell them no because I like telling them no. I tell them no because the budget don't support it. So we never know how year is going to go with our numbers. But you know, we've always ended positive every year since I've been here, the city manager. So, but right behind them, I'll tell you, is the fire department. They haven't hired nobody since I was the fire chief. They kept the minimum staffing at 7. But that hasn't been done since 2010, 11. He's gonna be right behind him.
Danny, is it possible, I don't even know if this works this way, but a service delivery strategy with the county, can we come up with an agreement with them to have some deputies supplement?
They don't have
They don't
enough
have
to
the
do
officers,
what he's
so,
doing,
yeah.
man. Give you an example. And Sheriff Brooks put together a recruiting team, and they've done a tremendous job trying to fill particularly positions for his jail. And I'm using this number because I had lunch with him Wednesday. He hired 132, but they lost 40. So, they're not gonna do it for free, I can promise you that. And we did it when I was at the sheriff's office. We had an agreement like that with the city of Social Circle. We provided all of the law enforcement services in Social Circle, patrol, investigations, drug investigation, whatever it might be, until they had their own police department. And that's been over 20 years now, maybe even 25, I don't know, a long time. But even back then, that was a multi-million-dollar deal a year. It would be significantly more than that now. And keep in mind, the sheriff of Walton County doesn't really have to respond to the desires of the city manager in the county. He's a constitutional officer. He doesn't have to respond to the
Well, that's why I
desires
said
of
I
the
don't know how this
county
works, but
manager.
just
You
thinking
know,
out of the box.
Yeah, I understand, but that's probably not. If we need them, they will come, I assure you. They always have and they always will. But trying to mix the two is just not, honestly, it's not gonna work.
Danny, what would be a starting salary for a code enforcement officer versus a policeman? I know you
I
alluded
just
to
looked
it,
at it. I told y'all 46, wasn't it? 46,000.
versus a police starting salary.
Police starting is 53.
795.
But then you're looking at the vehicles.
Right.
And the equipment, and things like
Equipment,
that.
The benefits, the
$140,000.
insurance and all the
Yes, ma'am.
things.
It's $140,000 per police officer.
Do what now?
It's $140,000 per police
For
officer.
everything?
Just for the salary, the car, the vest, and the insurance.
Okay. 140,000?
Roughly. That's not including his badge and his vest and his rifle and all that, but, you know, it's significant. It would be a tax increase, I would imagine. And you gotta remember, the new wonderful homestead goes into effect this year. This new budget, no increase.
Well, you also got to remember what the county did to everybody too.
Yeah, and that's what I want to be cognizant
That's what
of,
I'm
is
saying,
when
we
we
don't want-
hire employees, we can't use SPOS money and stuff like that for employees. We have to pay it out of the millage rate. So we really got to be cognizant of what we want to do and what we can expect our citizens to want to pay.
So kind of what, similar to, it's growth increases. When I started in bridge inspection in 97, we had 14,000 bridges in the state. By the time now, there's over 15,000. You have 1,000 extra bridges, that means more inspectors, that type of thing. So it's the same thing. So the hard part for me is you can't, having to quantify what you need for code enforcement. I think what I'm hearing is you're going to be getting ready for budgets. There's a desire to go ahead and start thinking about, how that code enforcement fits in there, that position, and we wanting to try to get that in the mix for then. For myself, I'm not saying, I wouldn't sit here tonight and say we definitely have to have it, because I want to know, I want to spend a little more time as far as knowing, what other cities have, what's the, I haven't actually met Brandon before. I'd like to know what they do. But, from my standpoint, I think it ought to be a very strong consideration at this point, but we got between now.
Yeah, and in all fairness to Danny, I just think we need to tell him pretty quick,
Yeah.
rather than wait until May when we're going to be voting on this thing in July.
I think I know what y'all want.
Yeah.
Pretty
I
clear.
do want to ask Keith, me and Keith had an offline conversation the other day, and he brought up, to your point about helping clean up the city, because I think everybody here wants the city to be safer and cleaner. And tell him about the program that you were kind of telling me about that you were a part of, that did a lot of
Right.
tremendous
When I
stuff.
started at my previous position, I was hired in knowing that I was going to work a different schedule than the rest of the team. I was hired in to work what they called Operation Fix and Broken Window campaign, where they took 3 of the code enforcement civilians and put them with 5 or 6 at the beginning police officers. We went out and what they call sweep. We swept neighborhoods, we swept commercial areas, and we started seeing people move out of areas that didn't want to see the police in their areas. This all started from a book that was written, and they started it in New York. And back in 05, about 05, 06, they brought it into my last jurisdiction. And it worked. And then that's where they put code enforcement up under the police department. So you work out those relationships with them, and Brandon has done a great job working with you guys. But it does make a difference when you're doing stuff like this. And in our situation, being that we're 6 square mile, if we wanted to do something like that, we could probably reach out to neighboring jurisdictions and have code enforcement come in and assist. That way, we don't have to put in the money for someone right now. And I know the code enforcement family, and they would be more than happy to come in and do it. It'd just be whether or not the jurisdiction would allow that and sanction that to be able to come in. And we could work that out if we needed to, I'm sure.
Okay.
So.
Yes, sir.
And that wouldn't require buying or hiring a new position per se?
At this point, no. No, at this point, you wouldn't even have to hire a third-party contractor. I could help the chiefs and Brandon, should this ever come to that, because I know most of the folks within the surrounding area, and I'm sure we could get some hands-on if we really need to do something like that. So, yeah, it's a possibility.
Gwinnett Police has I think they call it quality of life, but it's very
They did
simple.
when it existed, yeah. When I left in
Still going on.
when I left in 18, they put them back under planning and development. Things changed a whole lot then, so, but.
So that could be something that we look at as well. So,
I like it. Okay, so enough on code enforcement? Is everybody, does everybody want to continue the discussions? Y'all want to make a decision tonight? What's the plan here?
I just really don't want to take away from, Chief Lowry had stated that he has 3 to 5 deputies. We're getting into safety issues when it comes to a police officer because they have to have backup. He just stated a while ago that when he has a motor vehicle accident, he has to have two deputies there. If he's running a staffing of 3, that only leaves 1 floater to float around the city with 6 square miles. And that officer does not have any backup once that occurs. And most of the time when calls come out, they come in spurts. They come all at once, they get overloaded, and eventually what's going to happen is going to be backlog calls. So I just don't want to take away from his manpower, of his staffing.
What if I do this, is we're said that, we're getting ready to start the whole budgeting process. I'll shoot for the moon and we'll see where we end up.
and then y'all come back at that
Yeah.
See
time.
what we
Yeah,
can.
I like
Right,
it.
that's what I was going to suggest. At least put together a package, let us see what it's going to look like.
In the
And,
budget. We'll put the budget
We'll
together
see,
and
yeah,
You know.
okay.
I'll
thank
let you know what the numbers look like when I,
And
this
let me-
time in March, April probably.
Let's wait then and get,
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Chief.
We'll put-
What-
Yes, sir.
Real quick, I know it's 7:30, we've talked about an hour. Worst case, we could put this for January for next budget, that way we don't have to fund it half of the year, and then we know we would have one, so maybe it could be 2 police officers, 1 code enforcement. There's a million ways we can do it, but
Can
we'll
you work
definitely.
with that,
yes.
though? Chief,
Yeah.
can you work with
Yeah.
2 and 1?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we can. Sister
We're not saying that, Danny. We're not saying
He's become
that.
very adept at creative scheduling, so
I understand.
we'll make 2.
We want to keep
Anything.
those minimum staffings where we need to keep them at.
Okay, so, and Chief, a couple
Yes,
other
ma'am.
things, and actually more for Paul. So if we wanted to start digging into some ordinances, you've been very good about bringing ordinances to us, so we need to clean up some language, we need to do this. Patty and Melly brought up the folks that were bringing up the food trucks on the weekends, we dived into that. So can we, as a group, decide that we want to dive into some ordinances that are outside the rewrite and maybe bring them up to date and see if that, we can change some ordinances maybe to help them? I don't know, I'm just saying suggestions. And what we talked about behind the scenes, y'all, was addressing blight properties, vacant houses, and of course, the trash that's been illegally dumped. And Keith, when you and I talked.
Yeah, I wasn't sure before I got in here how deep this rewrite is. Is the rewrite going to be just on the zoning ordinances, Paul? Okay, because at that, I don't know how much it would entail, or would this company be tasked with what
No, they're
Lisa's
just
talking about to do
No, they're just
those?
doing your zoning ordinance rewrite.
Okay, so I didn't want to create any more money with the third-party contractor. That would maybe something we could look at and just do those on our own.
So, and I don't think it warrants a lot of discussion tonight, but do we all agree that maybe blight properties and
Sure.
vacant houses, we can address some of
There,
that?
I can tell you, there are a couple, it's not a significant amount, and it basically needs a little tweaking. And that's something that, I can do through Danny and through Paul, really, probably relatively quickly.
Yep.
That would help, just the wording and, things change over time. So yes, there are some places it needs to be.
Okay.
So it'd be something you'd be good with working with Paul
Yes,
and then getting that
I'll send
back
some
to us?
Danny in the next day or so.
Okay.
Thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
Okay. And as you all know, we just voted on put 10 more flock cameras out there.
Yes.
So, and then you and I had a discussion about this, and that although you're very pleased and very happy with the 20 cameras we have citywide, I'd like to see, suggest maybe think about putting in the budget that, I know we always fund these through the confiscated funds,
We
but
do.
maybe through the budget, we can add another 10 cameras to fill in, as you said, some of the gaps.
We'll look at, the flock, and I've said this probably to y'all are tired of hearing, flock is the biggest game changer in the
Yes.
history of law enforcement. It is solving crimes that wouldn't, honestly, just would not get solved. And the list is just exponential, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. What we're doing with deciding just very quickly on where we need these cameras is we look not only at where we have them, but we can see where everybody has them around us. So we look at where Walton County has them, Gwinnett, and things like Rockdale, Newton, everywhere that's even close, and we try to plug in. And that's what everybody else does. And we'll, our goal is, as time goes on, to, evaluate where these are. And as I told Lisa on the phone, we even found that just moving one of the cameras a few hundred feet made a big difference. And there's no cost to us to do that. The only thing, we've got, I think, 2 or 3, I'd have to look, I know it's 2, that are still waiting, permitting through DOT because they're on state routes, but all the other ones that are on our streets are already up and operating.
Lisa, forgive me if I jump ahead of you. What about, Chief, I think we kind of briefly talked about this one time, a actual camera at the intersection of 78 and 20 that would record information for you guys? Because I know the DOT camera doesn't record. Would that be a possibility?
Well, theoretically, yes. The problem that you have is when DOT permits it, there's got to be what they deem an appropriate location for it, for example. And right there, as you know, there's not a lot of available space anywhere. I mean, there are some, but if the makeup of the roadway, the sidewalks and all of that is different. If you go up to Highway 78, Brand Road, Old Loganville Road, and that area, Oak Grove, all in there, Gwinnett now, we were gonna put a camera up there. There's plenty of grass. There's a lot of room on the side of the road. But Gwinnett Police Department did it, so we moved ours down somewhere else. So when you look at the way that the roadways are made up right there, all the signage that is there that blocks it, you got to get away from that, all of that. It makes it more difficult. I'm not saying it's impossible, it makes it more difficult. Now, having said that, we've got cameras in as close as we can get them, that if you're going to go to that red light, you got to go past this camera.
Okay, I just was thinking with the recent events, if that would be helpful to you folks or what. And I know with the GDOT possible changing of that intersection, that's going to make it things difficult too.
It will change.
Yes, sir.
And it may make it so we can put cameras there when it's all said and done.
Okay.
And the point to all this is just that we see what's coming here. We see what's moving out here. It's just what little things can we do to combat crime and stay ahead of it and to give you guys support.
Help y'all the best we can.
Yep.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you, Chief. All right. Anything else, Lisa?
No, sir.
You sure you don't want another hour?
Thank you.
All right. For Finance and
I was the
Human.
spokesman for the night, just by the way.
There you go. There's nothing for Finance and Human Resources tonight, correct, Danny? No. All right. Now for Public Safety, Melanie Long.
Thank you. Chief Tim Johnson has got a presentation tonight, so I'm just going to turn the floor over to him because that is all I have on mine.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Good to see y'all this evening. For once, I'm standing before you not asking you for money, so that's a good thing. But no, every year we have a firefighter of the year that is voted on by the peers, or the coworkers in the fire department. And so for the year of 2025, I thought it would be fitting that I presented this award in front of y'all, and so y'all could kind of see what kind of employees you have in the fire department. So this year, or for 2025, Captain Jacob Morrow was named Firefighter of the Year.
Awesome.
So if he would come up here, I told him he only had 50 minutes for a speech, but no, I'd like to read just a couple of the letters that people wrote about him. He was promoted to captain in July of 2024, and so I won't read who wrote it about him, but I'll. So
Chief, would you like Jacob to join you?
Yes, I would.
Thank you.
I asked him to come up here.
His lovely wife and children may want to join.
So, one employee said, Jacob Morrow is my nomination. This is more of a personal thing of helping me as an officer, which in turn helps the department be better. We have a good working relationship and communicate any problems or issues that we may have and get them handled. He's always willing to help me out with any problem I have. He is the one person I can count on for anything. Another one said, I'd like to recommend Captain Jacob Morrow for Firefighter of the Year. He had a huge impact on our crew this year, not just through hard work, but through the way he leads us and influences the guys around him. Captain Morrow drives the machine that attempts to obtain excellence day in and out on our shift. Captain Morrow is the type of firefighter who steps up without being asked. He sets the tone on shift, keeps the crew motivated, and is always willing to lend a hand or share what he knows. His attitude makes the stations and the shift a better place to work and helps everyone stay focused and confident. I think a positive attitude is essential to the award of Firefighter of the Year. He leads by example, shows up ready, stays calm on calls, and treats everyone with respect, whether it's helping newer firefighters learn the ropes or keeping the team steady during tough situations. Captain's influence is something the whole shift and I believe the whole department benefits from. Because of his leadership, consistency, and the positive way he approaches our shift every day, I think Captain Morrow is more than deserving of the City of Loganville Firefighter of the Year. Captain Morrow is the hardest working employee Loganville Fire Department and the city has. He is always looking to help the department progress. He puts the department first. He never is one to sit around the station. He stays busy cleaning up, repairing the apparatus or the station. He promotes a positive work environment. He is very knowledgeable in all aspects of this job. He is a leader and personnel look to him for guidance. He is the first one in a fire and the last one out. He will push through a difficult emergency situation and provide the best care possible until the call is over, even if the scene bothers him. He's very calm in emergencies. He's always early to work, dressed and ready to go. He is prompt with leaving the station for calls and often beats other stations into their first due. Definitely not by speeding. And obeying all traffic laws. He gets along with everybody. He is also in charge of small equipment repair and maintenance and does a fantastic job with that and never has to be told to take care of that equipment. He consistently goes above and beyond what's expected of him. If his guys are working, he is working. No one can outwork Captain Morrow. He is very enjoyable to be around. He is great with the public. He is very friendly and outgoing. I wish I had 7 more just like him on the shift. He is the shift motivator He is blunt at times, but will tell you the truth. He takes on scheduling for the shift when it comes to sick outs and gets those spots filled. He promotes teamwork on the shift. He is always buying things from his own pocket to help improve his station or apparatus. As a captain, he is doing an outstanding job leading this shift. He has taken the instant command classes at the department to further his knowledge. He's always willing to train. He fills in and rides up his acting battalion in the absence of the battalion and does an excellent job doing that. And he will make a great battalion chief one day. So that's what his peers has to say about Captain Morrow. So these awards are, they are 100% by their peers. I have no influence in that whatsoever. I don't even have a vote. I do that by design. However, I will say that when I promoted Captain Morrow in July of 2024, it was because of the employee and the integrity and the dedication that he has. Everything that I read is true about him. I've known him for a very long time, and I can speak to the truthfulness of everything that was said. In regards to taking care of the small equipment, he saves the city a tremendous amount of money by being able to fix our saws, generators, lawnmowers, weed eaters, things of that nature. We do not send those out to be worked on. He does it in-house. And he's going to owe everybody who wrote letters a steak dinner. But I do appreciate the hard work and dedication that he is, and I agree with everything that was wrote, and I do wish I had a department full of him.
Congratulations. We'll go underneath the seal. You gotta get your picture taken, unless you want to say a few words as well.
Those that don't know, but his lovely wife Sarah is Chief Pilcher's daughter. She probably started the fire service before Jacob did. 'Cause I remember her when she was a little girl, she used to come up with her dad all the time, so. You're supposed to kiss him, Tim.
You sure you don't want to use your opportunity to speak here?
Well, I say this.
That was a mistake.
But there's a lot of great guys and gals that work for the City of Loganville Fire Department. And it really makes it easy to be firefighter of the year or employee of the year, however you want to look at it, when you work with a bunch of great people. So it just makes everything that much easier. So thank y'all. Hope y'all have a great day.
Thank you.
And that is all I have.
All right, that's awesome, Melanie. Thank you so much. All right, so we got Public Utilities Transportation. Bill Duval.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So we added an item to about the State Route 20 utility relocation. So let me how to start this. Let's see, in true GDOT fashion, they sent out a letter December 23rd, 2025 regarding the utility relocation. So we've talked about this where we've got the water line that's got to be implemented. So just to kind of talk about the process. So as the project starts developing, you have an idea where the road's going to go, and you lay out the kind of the extents of the roadway. And they ask for one thing, the first thing that they say is called first mission utilities. And that basically is, they know that, hey, there's this utility organization is in the area, but we want to send it out to them and let them, come back and say, yes, we do have utilities within this, in the corridor. And then the project continues to develop, and as it develops further, they do what's called second submission utilities. Now, that's when you've got to get closer to the end. And I know Danny's pulled his hair out and multiple times about this, but it gets close to the end and they say, they send this out, so that now they know where the utilities are, but they want the utility companies to actually map them on there and have them tied in, on the plans. And they'll do it where, and I'll start off, they'll say, this is the 24 series plans. And you say, well, what's a 24 series plans? Well, they break a plan set up in all these different series. So I'm pretty partial to the 35 series because those are bridge plans. Sometimes I like 32 series because those are wall plans. But the utilities go on what's called the 24 series. And so here's the roadway, and they'll have, let's say they have a power line that's going down the road. It's got a certain symbol for it, and it might be in the way, so they'll X out that line. And then they'll say, here's where the power line's going to go. So that's where it's going to be relocated to. And 24 series is fine. And so they know, when it goes to, and they set up agreements with utility companies so that when the project's let, that power line can get out there and as part of the process, they can relocate it, right? Well, we've got a water line out there. And so, yes, we've shown it out. We've shown it on the 24 series. We showed it there. And we show that we have to relocate it. And then the next step, since we own the utility, because it's not the same as having the power company go out there and move the lines, we've got to come up and redesign and have those water lines moved. Well, that's very intensive. You've got to have all the types of, what's the elevation of those pipes and what are the connections, and every time there's a bend or a change, an angle change, or ties in, that all has to be designed. So it's pretty intense work. And that's all handled in the 44 series, which we pulled, tooth and nail. We were under the gun to get those done. We needed them done too, because to go in the plan set, it generates another thing, because we don't want to have to pay for it all. We want GDOT to pay for that relocation in what's called utility aid. And there's been a lot of back and forth. Daniel can contest to that there's been a lot of back and forth about, is GDOT going to, are they going to provide that state aid or utility aid or not, or whatever. And so we're still working toward that. So what this effort came up to is we thought we all had it in there. We paid for it. We had Keck and Wood do the work. Lo and behold, in the letter that came out December 23rd, is that, and this is the letter, I guess, back to Danny on the 30th, and they've been investigating, trying to figure out what to do. But a conflict was found, and when I first got this, Danny, I tried to look at it on the phone. It was just too much. So I hadn't really seen exactly what the conflict is, but there's a conflict. Several conflicts. And so the next step is we've got to go back to Keck and Wood, and they have to adjust those pipes and redo some engineering on it, and get that put back together so that we can have that 44 series done. Of course, in like we said in true GDOT fashion, when they came out with it, they said, oh yeah, by the way, you have to have this done in 60 days. They did that to us last time, right? So in the 60 days, in this case, they said is February 20th. I don't know. Yeah, okay. February 20th. I don't know what this, honestly, I don't know what the significance of February 20th is in the relation. I know that they were, let's see, they've gone through field plan review, this, which typically happens 6 months before the letting. So they've gone through that. I mean, it's getting close. If you have a letting that's scheduled for July, and they're trying to get what's called certifications done, I mean, it's really tight, just what it is. So, Danny and I discussed it today. I mean, if we didn't bring it up today and we waited till later, then, it just puts that more pressure on Keck and Wood to get it in, to get it approved. So just the long and short of it is, Keck and Wood's coming back with an estimate. It says, we can do the plans. I'm sure they said that they can deliver it. I don't know when they said they can deliver it, Danny. But the cost would be $36,000 $39,350, you probably put in a 10% contingency.
Yeah, I would just go to just even $40,000.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's 39,900, whatever. I'd just say it easy, even 40,000. If we can authorize him to allow Keckenwood to go up to the 36,350 with that, up to,
10% contingency
Up
would
to
put it like
40,000.
right at a few dollars shy of 40,000.
sure, we can continue on. I will say that, before, I know you have questions, but, I hate having these bombs dropped on us. I'm certainly going to try to figure out what's going on, but I can know from a schedule-wise.
Yeah, just
We're so close to that letting period that's on the schedule, that it's hard to miss this.
and I'll just give y'all some background. Our last meeting we had with GDOT was in November, I believe the 6th. I had a very heated discussion with them, along with Keckenwood, with GDOT, because it's never ending. It's always changing, and I'm like, just tell me what I need to do, and let's hold to that date. But everything goalposts keeps getting moved, and it's hard for me to keep coming back. And I had a meeting today with Keckenwood, and that's why it's late on the agenda, because we just had our meeting today, Brandon, myself, and Jeff. And, I was frustrated, and I took it out on Keckenwood, probably shouldn't have, but they walked me through it, and I said, what happens if I don't do it? He goes, well, you don't get utility aid, or you won't have the ability to apply for utility aid. If we had enough money, I would say, fine, but I don't think we want to spend $7 million on relocating utilities. And there's no promise that we'll get it. That's what
right.
they told me. But you gotta jump through these hoops to play their game. And, it's extremely frustrating, because I've been on the phone with their project managers. I'm like, we pushed this from 2016 every year, but you give me 60 days to go get something approved, and all that does is put pressure on y'all, puts pressure on our engineers to get stuff to turn around, and it probably drives up the cost on this. But what they told me, that's GDOT. That's the state. That's
And two, so, okay, utility aid, we certainly want to get
Yes.
as much as we can of that. But also, like I said, we're looking, we're at February, we're trying to get a June, July let. They have what's called these certifications. They have to have an environmental certification, which is all contingent on all that right-of-way being handled. Everything's worked out on that. The right-of-way itself, it has to be certified, and the utility has to be certified. And they have to have those where they said, that's done in order for them to do that letting. And every time, if they get to that point and can't do it, they push it. We don't want them to push it. We want to capture whatever money's available, and we want them to do it now, as soon as possible. But it's a rock and a hard place, but it's also.
So I didn't have time to do a staff report, because literally we had a meeting till 4 o'clock today, and didn't know if Bill wanted to put it on the agenda, but, because I told Keckenwood, I'm gonna let it wait till February, but I said, Bill, that's your call, we can roll the dice, but Bill obviously knows more about the state than I do, but just for y'all, for your record, it would come out of the same line item as last year. That would be 505-4330-521202. That would be the line item. That is sewer engineering fees, I would believe, right, Natalie? 4330? Yep, the engineering fees.
Can I ask you a question? You said without whatever this report is or this study, we can't apply for utility aid on this
That's correct.
project? Have we already applied for is it a
Yes.
grant? Is that what it is?
No, it's a back and forth discussion on what they decide is, I don't know the words they use, but what they think is an improvement versus a even swap. So, give you an example, we currently have HDPI, which is iron ductile pipe for sewer line. We want to go back to the HDPI, which is the modern plastic. It doesn't corrode. It's actually cheaper in price, but the state has been battling back and forth with us, saying that's an improvement and that's your cost. And we're like, no, it's cheaper. And it's literally, that's where the debate got into in November. It's stuff like that. It's back and forth. So we have to justify to them, we have to show them that the cost is cheaper. It's an equal swap for swap. Now, if we say we have a plastic and we want to go to a bigger water line, like a 12-inch versus 10-inch, that would be an improvement, which that mean we would bore the cost. But it's swap for swap, even for even. That's the way they look at it. They were trying to tell us that air valves is an improvement to the sewer line. I'm like, it's a mandatory thing for a force main to have air valves. It's mandatory. You can't put a force main in without air valves. So we started getting a debate with our engineers about that. So it's constantly that weekly with the state. So they have a group of engineers, Cackenwood has a group of engineers, and it's constantly back and forth.
So we don't know what the value of that,
We will have no idea what the value they would give us. That's correct.
Okay.
It may be something, it may be nothing.
but this is what, the project we talked about, I think last year, that this is about an $8 million project, moving all of
6
these?
to 8, yeah, it's started at 2 million in 2016. Now it's up to 6 point something, possibly 7, possibly
Okay.
8, depending on,
Okay.
every year they push it back.
But we're hoping that if we jump through this hoop and pay this money, that they're gonna, but if,
I hope this is the
to
last.
give us some sort of,
Typically, there's not a third, second submittal. That's kind of what he told us today, that the guy at Cackenwood, who's over all the utility relocation engineer, typically, he said this, Danny, I know you're frustrated, but this is, every state project is like this. They're doing one in Madison. He said it's exactly the same. This is just this is the game you have to play.
right, but this is close to $40,000. I mean,
It is
at least
$40,000.
we're gonna get $40,000, hopefully.
I would
You don't
hope
think
that
like
we
you would hope-
get a lot, yes.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions from council? All right, you want to make a motion?
So I'd like to
on
make a
this?
motion that we approve up to $40,000 for Cackenwood, for the city manager to engage Cackenwood to revise the utility plans.
We got a first, we got a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
All right.
All right. Anything else, Bill?
No, sir.
All right, and before I get down to Public Works Facilities, I know the last meeting we talked about changing committees, and we are, but we were gonna, I wasn't clear enough on, we were actually gonna stay in our committees for this month, and then next month would be when all new committees go out. So it's actually under Patty Wolf, but Public Works and Facilities, Patty Wolf.
Yeah, and I think Wes will get this
Yes.
next month. And Wes, you'll, just for clarification, you'll get one of these every month that will tell you what the Public Works Department has picked up. You'll see me read it off, but trash report and limbs and all on the public streets, and you'll just read it every month. Public Works trash report, total litter pickup, 190 pounds. Public Works chipping report, total stops, 203, total tons, $12. $12 would be the number.
12 tons.
Let me say too, since I won't have this committee, working with Jeremy is absolutely a blessing. That whole team is just precious and hardworking guys, do anything for you. You ask for something, they're there. They do so much more than you would ever imagine that they do. Pretty much anything that's done in the city, building-wise, or if there's a pipe that bursts, or just anything that, litter, when we have any events, they're out picking up litter and changing the trash cans out. It's amazing what they do, and they do it with such a blessing. I don't know anything else to call it but that, and I just want to thank them for allowing me to be a part of their team, not a part because I hadn't picked up any trash or done anything, but just being able to watch them in action has been a real joy. So, Wes, you got a lot to look forward to.
They're very good people. Actually, Ray Martinez got a few grills donated from, I believe it was Home Depot, correct, Danny? Or was it? Yeah, it was Home Depot, and gave it to utilities and Public Works for everything that they do that's unseen for our city. So thank you, Brandon, your team as well. And you also be working with Dustin as well, who's in charge of facilities.
Yeah, I forgot about Dustin. Dustin equally, I just haven't dealt with him as much, but you need anything done, like, the Anna Holbrook building, that was Dustin and his team. So it's just good people, good people.
And Melanie, you had for parking lot discussion?
Yes, I'm sorry, yes.
Oh, you're good.
I promised, well, we've had 2 citizens have some accidents out in our parking lot coming to city council meetings, and over the Christmas holiday, an elderly lady came to my shop to visit me to show me her injury that she had sustained and she's finally healed from. It's two people, the exact same incident, and neither one of these people have any desire to sue the city, but you're going to get that one person that's going to. There's no lights out here when we have meetings, and they've tripped over the speed bumps that we have out here. And so I would just like to open up a discussion on, and this will be your committee, but that's what I'd like to open up discussion on, about looking at lights for the area to light it up, to keep the people that do come to our meetings, keep them safe. So that was all I wanted to bring up. I don't think anybody here's probably got a problem with that.
I know we
I can
have a
handle that.
bulb out here that we've
There's
tried
one.
and keep
I
replacing.
can get some lights.
You've
That's
done it
easy.
before.
Just let me know.
Yeah,
All right.
so
We need
Danny,
lights.
anywhere, I'm
let me
always gonna be in
just-
favor of lighting projects, to be
Yeah, I haven't
honest.
heard about the lights, but I heard about the handicap. We had a handicap, but the reason it got moved, and don't quote me on this, but what I believe was, when you put a handicap on the front of City Hall, the doors are opened up into the traffic. That's why they got moved to the parking lots. So, but I'll get with Fire Marshal's office and let them tell me where they need to go, because they're the ones that would regulate that, and they're the ones that adhere to that law. So I didn't hear about the lights, but I did hear about the handicap. So that's the reason it got moved, because it was up front, but then we moved it to here and out in the parking lot. And it was because you didn't want your cars opened up into the traffic when people come through, cut through, or come to City Hall. So we'll handle the lights.
Okay, thank you, and I'm sure she appreciates that as well.
No, thank you for bringing that to our attention. All right, and there's nothing is there anything else, Melanie or Patty?
No, well, that's Wes. Ask Wes if he has any. Well,
Yeah.
no, it's not Wes, it's Patty. Never
Yeah,
mind,
for
I'm all
tonight.
confused.
Yeah, and that was my fault, everybody, again. I should have clarified that we were going to continue with the committees that we have for this month. I think it'd be odd to change like in the middle of it. But anyways, I don't believe there's anything else for Economic and Development Committee report. Correct, Danny? All right, now we're down to City Manager's report.
There's a football game on we need to watch.
All right. And Paul, anything for the city attorney's update?
Just the one item you have before you, this charter update that we spoke about on Monday. Because it is a home rule charter change, I need a motion to approve it tonight, and then we'll have a motion to approve it again in February. It will advertise in accordance with the law and be posted at the clerk's office, Walton County Superior Court Clerk's office as well next week. I'll be happy to answer any questions, but these are just cleanups to comply with, to get your residency requirements in compliance with Georgia law.
All right.
Okay,
so-
well, actually, I've been digging into this since Monday. I'm still not satisfied. I've reached out to the GOP, I've reached out to our Walton County Board of Elections, I've reached out to the Secretary of State, I've reached out to the Attorney General, and everybody has different interpretation. Everybody has not clarified anything. I'm waiting on documentation to come back to, listen, I think we're a transient community, and I will not agree to reducing our residency to 1 year. And until I'm 100% satisfied that there is no other option, I'm not going to want to move on this. And again, if this is mandatory, then I don't understand why we'd vote on it anyway. So I think the fact that we're being given an option tells us there may be something more to this. And when your own people all have different interpretations of the same law, I'm going to ask that, I'd like to make a motion that we table this, and that to give me more time to get the answers I feel comfortable with. And also, too, in that time, if we're going to change the 18 to 21, that gives Paul more time to do that. We don't have an election for 2 years. I see no rush, so I'm going to make the motion that we table this item.
So we have a motion. Do we have a second for the motion?
I'll second that motion.
All right. Before I take a vote, Paul, would you want to explain anything else in the discussion?
I mean, if you table, it's fine, then we just have to start it all over again because our ads have already gone, so the ads will be dead, and we'll have to start over again, which is no big deal. I don't know what else to tell you other than my 25 years with my bar card tells me that you took an oath of office to uphold the federal and state constitutions and laws as well as our ordinances. And the law is explicitly clear. There is no wiggle room on shall. And so at the end of the day, I'm just telling you what the law says, and this came up not through me, but came up from Danny because it was addressed to him in terms of, I mean, what are the risks? Well, there's a lot of them, but your Secretary of State can come in and say that we have a problem because they're charged with running our elections correctly. At the end of the day, it's what the law says, and it's cleaning up your charter to be compliant with Georgia law. But you have a motion to table, and that's totally fine. You don't have an election for 2 years, but we will need to run ads again. So those ads will have to be, I mean, they're already scheduled. I'll cancel the next 2 that won't run, and we'll deal with it on another day if that's what y'all choose to do, if your motion to table proceeds forward.
Meanwhile, Paul, can you get the 18 to 21? I think you had to research something about that, didn't you?
That is correct. We've not looked into that
Okay.
issue, and we'll be happy to look into that issue as
Okay.
well.
Thank you.
All right, any other discussion before I call for a vote? All right, so I will call for a vote for tabling. We got a first by Melanie, a second by Lisa Newberry. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so it is tabled.
5-1.
Thank you.
Now, do we have any executive session tonight, Paul? Or do you have any
No.
other updates?
No other updates.
All right. So before I ask for adjournment, I just want to say thank you to everybody for coming. Thank you, everybody who's watching online. We really do appreciate y'all being a part of these meetings. So with that said, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.